In the same way. Yes, it's simple. No, for you too, I'm not sure. Alright, behind Andrea Bocelli's amazing voice is a life experience that most people can't even imagine. He is regarded by everyone as a masterwork of skill and elegance. A man whose music inspires hope and consolation. However, few realize that he had a difficult path to success. There were obstacles that would have broken anyone else. Even while his songs seem effortless, the route that led to them was molded by suffering, bravery, and unwavering will. We may learn from Bocelli's story that sometimes the most beautiful voices emerge from people who have endured the most hardship, early years, and professional life. Andrea Bocelli is one of those rare tales that nearly appear like a movie. He is now known across the globe as the renowned tenor, whose voice has the power to move anyone to tears. However, most people forget that behind all of the fame, best-selling songs, and sold-out shows comes a life filled with failures that would have scared everyone else. Bocelli was born in Lahatico, a tiny Italian village in the Tuscany region, on September 22, 1958. Before he was even born, doctors had warned his parents that he would have health problems. His mother was determined not to have him aborted, even if they had suggested doing so. However, he had congenital glaucoma from birth, which left his vision quite impaired. Nevertheless, he was loved by his family and grew up in the Tuscan countryside, where he quickly became passionate about music. Like most kids, Andrea was enthralled with sound when she was younger. He began learning to play instruments like the piano, flute, and saxophone at the age of 6. Now, music served as a lifeline as well as a hobby, something that made him happy despite the fact that his vision continued to deteriorate. Then, something happened that altered his life. He suffered a horrific injury while playing football at the age of 12. Brain bleed after a head injury left him completely blind. This would have been the end of dreams for most individuals. For Andrea, however, it marked the start of something more. Instead of giving up, he threw himself even more into his love of music. He sang at piano bars at night to make ends meet while attending the University of Pisa for law school. His voice and manner were refined by these small engagements. He met Enrique Cenzati, his first wife, on that particular night. The beginning of the 1990s was his big break. Zucchero, an Italian rock star, needed a demo vocalist for a song called Misery. It was initially intended for Luciano Pavarotti. After listening to Bocelli's tape, Pavarotti was so thrilled that he urged Zucchero to maintain Andrea's voice. For Bocelli, the moment unlocked doors he could only imagine. Before long, he was recording albums, playing at festivals, and gradually gaining international recognition. Bocelli was selling millions of albums and winning international competitions by the mid-1990s. Hits like Time to Say Goodbye with Sarah Brightman, which went viral, were released on his 1997 album Romanza. Over the years, he sang in some of the most prominent music venues in the world with celebrities like Andrea Griminelli and Celine Dion. Andrea never shied away from discussing the struggles he faced and the strength it took to persevere in spite of all the fame. He had previously claimed that music taught him how to see past the dark. Perhaps that's why his voice is so captivating. It conveys a sense of persistence and survival in addition to beauty. His private life, like his music career, Andrea Bocelli's personal life has been full with events, characterized by family memories, love, and grief that influenced who he is now. At the beginning of his career, he performed in piano bars and met Enriqueta Cenzati, his first wife. After a blossoming romance, they were married on June 27, 1992. Soon later, on February 22, 1995, their first child, a son named Amos, was born. On October 8, 1997, Matteo, their second son, was born. However, despite the happiness of starting a family, their marriage could not endure. Despite their divorce in 2002, they remained close because of their kids. During this time, Bocelli also had a terrible personal loss. Alejandro Bocelli, his father, passed away on April 30, 2000. He was affected by the tragedy, but his mother urged him to hold fast to his convictions. Andrea brought his grief to the stage, as he played for Pope John Paul II in Rome on May 1st. He dedicated the encore song Sono Dream to his father's memory later that summer during his Statue of Liberty performance that was recorded on PBS. It was a remembrance of the man who had supported him from the beginning. Andrea did discover a new love in life. He first met Veronica Berti in 2002. She would go on to become both his manager and wife. As their bond became stronger, they revealed in September 2011 that they were expecting their first child together. On March 21, 2012, their daughter Virginia was born, bringing Bocelli new happiness. Andrea and Veronica were married on March 21, 2014, 2 years later in the Montenero Sanctuary in Lavoro, Italy. They now live together in the Tuscan town of Forte de Marmi, which is by the sea. It's interesting to note that Andrea's first wife and their 2 sons still reside in the same neighborhood, demonstrating how the family has remained close in spite of changes. Bocelli's world revolves around his family, and he frequently performs alongside his kids. Andrea joined Matteo and Virginia for a performance at the UK Festival of Remembrance in November 2022 at the Royal Albert Hall. He and Virginia performed Hallelujah on the BBC's Strictly Come Dancing in November 2023. Andrea and Matteo collaborated on the song O Holy Night for the Christmas, with the Chosen special release in December. Holy Night. The Bocellis used these occasions to demonstrate to their audience that music is, after all, a family business. In addition to family and music, Andrea enjoys athletics. He is an ardent supporter of the Italian football team, Inter Milan. He once said that he was so overcome with emotion that he shed happy tears after Inter won the Champions League in 2010. Over the years, Andrea has received many rewards, such as the 2003 designation of a section of Jesolo Beach in his honor. His heart never seems to leave Tuscany, where he still finds love, family, and music, even if he has a second home in North Miami Beach. The Silencio Theater. In 2006, Andrea Bocelli fulfilled a unique goal in his hometown of Lahatico, a tiny Tuscan village tucked away on the undulating hills. He convinced the local council to build an open-air theater, known as the Teatro del Silencio, or the Theater of Silence today, the only one of its sort in the world. This theater's function is what makes it so special. It is completely silent for almost a whole year. No concerts, no performances, nothing. However, every summer, usually in July, there is a chill in the air as Andrea Bocelli himself takes the stage to perform a spectacular one-night show. This yearly event, which draws attendees from all over the world, brings the peaceful countryside to life as a stage for global music and culture. Bocelli has always viewed the theater as a gift for his hometown and his audience, and he is also its honorary president. The Teatro del Silencio envisioned a magical setting where art and nature would coexist. The outdoor setting, encircled by breathtaking views of Tuscany, creates an atmosphere that no performance hall could match. It's more than simply a show to Belli. He is returning home and will have the chance to perform his music in his native country. Some of the most amazing names in the music industry have performed at the Teatro del Silencio since its founding. Bocelli has even invited internationally acclaimed artists like Sarah Brightman, Katherine Jenkins, Zucchero, Laura Pausini, and Elisa, as well as other opera legends like Placido Domingo and Jose Carreras. He has been joined on stage by other musicians such as Lang Lang, Chris B, and Kenny G, who have added depth and contrast to the gala. Each year's performance is genuinely unique thanks to these special guests, who give viewers something fresh while maintaining the attention on Belli's remarkable voice. In addition to being live events, the concerts are also recorded for people who can't attend. For example, the 2007 performance was recorded and then released on CD and DVD in 2008, bringing the Teatro del Silencio's magic into people's homes all over the world. This made it possible for people who couldn't travel to Tuscany to still enjoy a little bit of the charm. The theater has come to represent Bocelli's vision and love of music over the years. It emphasizes his strong ties to his heritage by fusing tradition, community, and artistry. There is more to the Teatro del Silencio than just a place. It serves as a reminder that music can have its greatest impact when it arises from silence and is a celebration of life, sound, and silence. A concert here is sometimes referred to by fans as a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The star-studded guest list, Bocelli's voice, and the natural Tuscan background combine to make it one of the world's most remarkable cultural events. Remarks regarding lockdown regulations and the pandemic. Not his music, but what Andrea Bocelli said about the pandemic in 2020 sparked a heated discussion. Bocelli acknowledged that he struggled to deal with Italy's harsh lockdown rules at a July 2020 public appearance in Rome. He claimed that being told to stay inside was offensive and degrading, and that being walled up at home didn't feel appropriate or healthy for someone his age. In addition, Bocelli acknowledged that he had broken some of the lockdown guidelines himself, leaving his residence when the guidelines said he shouldn't have. He even went so far as to cast doubt on the virus's seriousness, saying that he personally knew no one who had been admitted to intensive care due to it. These remarks received harsh condemnation and spread swiftly. In the early phases of the epidemic, Italy was one of the most severely affected nations, with hospitals overcrowded and thousands of deaths recorded. Bocelli's remarks were deemed disrespectful by many, particularly because they appeared to minimize the pain endured by numerous families who had lost loved ones. Politicians and health professionals chastised him for conveying the incorrect message at a critical juncture for public cooperation. Newspapers like The Telegraph noted how surprising it was that this beloved figure would make a claim that seemed to go against the grain of science. Along with officials, regular individuals on social media, many of whom had personally witnessed the virus's catastrophic effects, also voiced their disapproval. Given the sacrifices people were making by remaining at home to protect the weak, they thought that Bell's remarks were out of date. Bocelli eventually took back his remarks after realizing the impact of what he had said. He apologized in public, saying he never intended to cause harm to anyone afflicted by the virus. Reiterating his admiration for individuals immediately affected by the virus, he acknowledged that his word choice had been poor. He clarified that his remarks were not the result of a lack of empathy, but rather of personal exasperation. Although the apology eased the pain for many supporters, the incident still damaged Bocelli's usually favorable public perception. It served as a reminder that even the most well-liked celebrities may make mistakes when discussing delicate subjects, particularly in times of international emergency. Placido Domingo is defended by Andrea Bocelli. Although Andrea Bocelli is renowned throughout the world for his amazing voice and motivational performances, his public remarks have occasionally caused controversy. He fiercely defended the Spanish opera Great Placido Domingo in 2019 and 2020 after multiple women accused Domingo of sexual harassment, which was one of the most obvious examples. More than 20 women accused Domingo, arguably the most famous tenor of the last century, of acting improperly toward them over a number of decades. Some claimed that he coerced younger musicians with his influence, while others accused him of making unwanted sexual advances. The opera industry was rocked by these accusations, and both in the US and Europe, opera houses and unions launched investigations that resulted in the cancellation of performances. Bocelli did not remain silent when asked about the affair. Instead, he strongly defended Domingo, calling it ridiculous that opera houses abruptly canceled his shows before a judge had issued a ruling. Bocelli believed that it was important to distinguish between artistic appreciation and moral censure. According to him, a person's work cannot be removed or banned until they are found guilty in court. Bocelli expressed his admiration for Domingo as a human being and an artist, saying he did not believe it was appropriate for organizations to take action based on accusations. He was concerned that punishing someone without doing any research would set a precedent in society at large, as well as in the arts. But not everyone shared Boccelli's viewpoint. His remarks, according to many detractors, were too forgiving of alleged wrongdoing. Given the large number of women who came forward with similar accounts, they contended that influential people like Domingo need to be held responsible. Some Bocelli supporters were dissatisfied because they believed his defense downplayed the suffering of the ladies who raised their voices. Others, meanwhile, praised Bocelli for standing up for the idea that a person is innocent until proven guilty. They thought it was brave of him to voice his opinion. Aware that it could not be well received, the case sparked a complex discussion that still divides people today. If an artist has been charged with serious crimes and has not been found guilty in a court of law, should they still be permitted to perform and receive recognition? Or must organizations take action sooner to help victims and maintain public confidence? Placido Domingo's career did not turn out differently as a result of Andrea Bocelli's defense of him. Indeed, there have been times when disappointed people have left, not due to Bocelli's vocals, but rather to what they perceived as deceptive advertising. The most well-known instance occurred in 2018 when a group of British visitors went to see one of Bocelli's performances in Italy. Because the concert was marketed as a major event with Bocelli and special guests, many fans assumed they would hear his most well-known songs, such as The Prayer or Cante Partiro. They anticipated a traditional Bocelli experience, romantic ballads, crossover hits, and possibly some celebrity duets. However, things were drastically different when the show really started. The show focused on a little-known opera from the 19th century rather than the biggest songs they were anticipating. Bocelli himself didn't show up as much as supporters had hoped, and the major stars fans had anticipated weren't among the special guests. Because they didn't receive what they paid for, some participants felt duped and even angry. The incident brought attention to a larger problem: audience expectations. The range of Bocelli's fanbase is astounding. While some are committed to his crossover songs that combine mainstream and classical music, others adore him for his operatic roots. Fans can easily assume they will receive the kind of performance they individually appreciate when an event is advertised in an ambiguous manner. Thus, frustration arises when reality doesn't match, as it did in 2018. Additionally, critics have noted that Belly's promotional teams occasionally fail to specify whether a performance will be more crossover-focused or more operatic. Sitting through a lengthy opera with Little Belly can seem like the wrong kind of show for casual fans who are mostly familiar with him from albums like Romanza or his duets with Ed Sheeran and Celine Dion. On the other hand, such a program might excite opera purists. Bocelli is walking a tightrope, and it is challenging. From a certain perspective, he would like to honor his boyhood love of opera. On the other hand, pop classical crossover albums are mostly responsible for his widespread appeal. There is always a chance that one audience member may feel excluded when the opposing viewpoints are presented at his performances. However, given the millions of people who love his live performances, it's fascinating to note that these kinds of criticisms are uncommon. Some people cherish seeing Bocelli live as a once-in-a-lifetime experience. However, the 2018 event shows how important effective promotion and communication can be, especially for a singer whose success spans multiple music genres, accolades, and distinctions from around the globe. In addition to sold-out shows and millions of CDs sold, Andrea Bocelli's career has been characterized by a long list of accolades and awards that recognize his influence on music and culture worldwide. He has gained respect as an artist and an inspiration thanks to these accolades, which demonstrate how his voice and narrative have impacted individuals well beyond the classical music community. His 2006 appointment as a Grand Officer of the Order of Merit of the Italian Republic, one of the greatest accolades Italy bestows on its citizens, was one of the most illustrious events of his career. In recognition of his contributions to fostering cross-cultural understanding and promoting global art, the Dominican Republic named him a Grand Officer of the Order of Merit of Duarte, Sanchez and Mela 3 years later, in 2009. In recognition of his achievements to theater and live performance, Bocelli was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2010, something that many artists only dream about. More recently, in 2022, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić presented him with the Gold Medal for Merit. And in 2025, Emanuel Filiberto of Savoy knelt him in the Savoy Civic Order. Belli has received numerous accolades from the music industry itself over her career in addition to these state and cultural recognitions. Winning Sanremo Music Festival's Newcomers Division in 1994 was his major break and helped introduce him to the world. He went on to win significant honors, including as the Echo Music Award in 1997 for his hit song Time to Say Goodbye. In the same year, he received the Bambi Award and the Echo Classic Award for Best Seller of the Year for his album Viaggio Italiano. From there, the list only got longer. In 1998, the opera CD Aria earned him another Echo Classic and 2 Global Music Awards. He received additional accolades for his 1999 CD, Sacred Heiress, including 2 Classical Brit Awards in 2000. Bocelli gained acclaim after recognition over the years. Numerous Talato Awards, the Classical Brit Awards, the Goldini Camera in 2002, and innumerable world music honors, including the 2014 title of Best-Selling Classical Musician. He received a Lifetime Achievement Award from Billboard Latin Music in recognition. However, because his art elevates the human spirit, he was awarded the Art, Science, and Peace Prize in 2015. When combined, these accolades reveal the tale of a performer whose impact has transcended national boundaries, musical genres, and generations, demonstrating the global reach of Andrea Bocelli's voice. The life of Andrea Bocelli serves as a reminder that even the most difficult circumstances can lead to exceptional achievements. His journey has been filled with obstacles that could have easily crushed his spirit, from his early health struggles to the accident that caused him to lose his sight. Nevertheless, Bocelli made the decision to continue on, utilizing music as his light during his darkest moments. It's not just his achievement that gives his story such impact. That's how he got there. As a youngster, losing his vision could have felt like the end of the world. For Bocelli, however, it marked the beginning of something new. He gave his all to his passion for music, relying on his faith, discipline, and passion to see him through. His voice has such a profound emotional impact on listeners, because each note he sings now contains a fragment of that resiliency. But he created a legacy as well as a career. After performing on some of the world's largest venues and selling millions of recordings, he went from singing in piano bars to becoming one of the best-selling classical musicians of all time. Even though his style has been disputed by some, his followers still pack venues and enjoy the passion he infuses into each performance. His tale demonstrates that technical mastery isn't always the most important factor. It's the capacity to move, inspire, and connect with others. Bocelli has demonstrated the value of humility and thankfulness in addition to his notoriety. He frequently talks about how his love, family, and faith keep him grounded, serving as a reminder that, despite widespread acclaim, what really counts is the human spirit that inspires the work. That same belief is reflected in his charity work, concerts, and initiatives to make music more accessible. Andrea Bocelli ultimately transformed his grief into victory. His life serves as a reminder that failures do not define us. Our fate is determined by what we do with them. In addition to creating beauty with his music, he has inspired hope in millions of others who view his tenacity as a reflection of their own hardships. There is more to Bocelli's biography than just his singing career. It's a tale of bravery, tenacity, and the lesson that life can still be full of love, light, and heartwarming music despite tragedy.